And she is,
We're going to
most
go
likely.
to movement 4 with the child.
Good job, Jake. So tell me about what you do. Where'd you say you're from?
Buffalo, New York.
Okay, and what do you teach?
I'm an undergrad student for music education. I'm in my student teaching right now.
Okay, great. And are you just finishing your undergrad then?
Yes.
Okay, so you haven't taught yet.
No, I haven't taught.
Okay. Okay, here's a couple of things for you to think about. Let's do the very ending first. So they didn't quite get what you wanted. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so what was it that it didn't work? So this is a little bit different look at the way I'm approaching you as the other. I'll go back in just a minute to the beginning. But what happened that they didn't?
The fermata on the and of 3 into 40 held it, and I didn't give a clear cutoff and into 40. I kind of just fell into it, and we weren't together.
Okay. Here?
I was talking.
Here, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was,
Okay.
You're fine. What you decided to look at is fine also. The problem was there as well. Okay, so the problem in your mind was you didn't give a clear downbeat or a clear cutoff.
Yes.
And then what happened after that?
And then when I gave 1, it felt like that was the cutoff instead of that being beat 1.
Okay, let's take a look at that then from a conducting class point of view. So you said I didn't give a clear cutoff, and then what happened?
And then when I gave beat 1, I think it was confused that that was the cutoff.
Okay. Okay, so the problem then mathematically is, and a good problem is, it has to have a release, and it has to have a clear downbeat. Now let's hook it to a musical idea. Okay, so we have to have a clear cutoff. Why?
To show where that phrase ends and the next one begins.
Is that the only reason?
It's not the only reason to convey the idea of here's the cutoff and then where we want to start.
Okay, all right. So let's play, we're going to go before 40, guys. Go 34, okay? That's an easy spot. We won't go very far, but let's start at 34, okay? Okay. No problem, right? Why is there no problem?
I feel like I'm being clearer with my pattern a little bit.
Well, you were clear the first time. I mean, the first time was good too.
Okay.
And this is good. So why is this less difficult than where we were discussing?
It's a bit easier rhythmically compared to where we were discussing.
The
It
tune,
starts-
the tune just kind of unfolds, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to get up to that fermata, and the tune is going to have a dramatic release, and then the anticipation of where we go is next. When you look at your scores and when you rehearse with your ensemble, don't use the score as a checkoff list of how to do things. It's loud, it's soft, it's fast, it's slow. Use it as a musical indication of where you want to go with it, and then conducting will be a lot more fun.
Okay.
Okay? And then rehearsals will be a lot more fun for the player, because the player is hooking to you as you giving them musical ideas. And that's what they want. That's what your students are going to want. They want to be challenged by the music, okay? They understand that there's a release there. Then what do we do with the tension that's caused because of that release? And that's a musical idea as well as a mathematical one, okay? So let's go 34 once again. See if we can handle, hang on just 1 second, guys, and see if we can handle the problem with the release, which is before 40,
Sure.
okay? You want to think about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
34?
Okay. Okay, good. Much better. Much better. So what does the space, the silence after that release, what does that sound like?
It feels
Before you give the downbeat. So you have the release, you've given the release, and now there's silence. What kind of silence?
it feels like just like a settling point. Like here's like our last point before we hit that ending.
Okay.
To get into the end.
Well, I wish we were in the office and we'd be singing.
Okay.
Okay? Because that's the only way that I'd have to really understand what was your instrument?
Trombone.
Okay, same thing with trombone, any instrument. So the silence that follows a release like that inherits the dynamic that went before.
Okay.
Okay? So if you get to a release, you can't dissolve the release until you bring in the next note, and then it resolves, okay? But you can't just go release, then down. So you have to make sure that you give the listener a chance to understand what just happened, okay? Let's go back 34 once again. Think about that.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with that silence? How are you going to conduct the silence? It matters how the silence works, okay? Okay.
34.
Dynamic there is,
Fortissimo.
dynamic here is.
Forte.
That was bigger than the fortissimo.
True.
So the musician has no alternative but to go with what you show them. The only other alternative is to tell them. So if you tell them and tell them and tell them, and then don't do that, pretty soon they're going to ignore you because you're telling them to do something that you're not doing yourself. So if Grainger really anticipated that has, and you told me earlier that the space kind of resolved, okay? And I agree with that, but it has tension. And then it has a new idea. So I want you to have them play for you the way you want them to sound, not what's academically
Sure.
convenient.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, one more time, 34. So conducting is the gesture. But you have to think about it, and then you have to let that happen.
Okay.
What's inside here and here has to come out here, and then the gesture means something, okay? 34. Okay. Okay, so there's a problem here. You're showing what you want, but there's really not a clear indication of how much time you want that to have happen.
Okay.
I'm not too bothered by that at the moment, but I am bothered by this.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that?
That wasn't clear.
Well, okay, so I want, okay, so we're talking about 1 bar before 43, and I want you to talk to me about anything except rhythm
Okay.
that should happen.
It should be a decrescendo.
Aha.
I wasn't showing that. I was more worried about the rhythm.
Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. We're band people. Dr. Wainwright talked earlier about listening to orchestras. Listen to orchestras. Listen to choirs. Listen to anything that forces you into a way of thinking that is not band driven. I'm a band director. I've been a band director for over 50 years, man. And I understand the need to be clear. I understand that. But if that's all we're thinking about, it's not enough. So if it's not enough, then what is? The great Bruno Walter talked about this in his book. What's that book? He talks about tone and rhythm can sometimes be astonishing, but it's not enough. And I'm going like, well, then what is? Good question. So it's the diminuendo. So what does the diminuendo have? I wish we had more time because I can tell that you're in this because you love it, and I can tell that you're in it because you want to have it happen. And I hope some of the comments will be helpful to you. I enjoyed watching you very much.
Appreciate it.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very good.